So, for this next song, we have a waltz, the Alona Waltz. So, what is a waltz? It is a piece of music written in 3/4 time. So, the beats are sets of 3. So, it would be counted 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. With the strong beat being the 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And this song, the Alona Waltz, is very pretty, and it's a I don't know if it's a traditional ukulele Hawaiian song, dance. Waltz is a dance, but it's definitely a very popular one, and it's been, played for decades and decades. So let's take a look at it. So I'm going to play through it and see if I can play through it and not mess anything up. So. That's it. And I almost made it. I stumbled a little bit, the F to the G, because I printed it out instead of my usual scrawling. I actually typed it out. And I just lost place of which line I was on for a split second there. But anyway, that's the song. It's lovely, isn't it? First off, aside from the single note things, all the chords that get strummed have the same rhythm all the way through. Yes, I was just making sure. So that's the first chord that I'm playing. 0, 0, 0, 7. Yes, 7. So the strum. So the beat, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So see how the strum accentuates the 1. It's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. So there's a pause before the 1, so the end of each measure, and then a pause after the 1, after that first strum. So that helps that one beat, that strum, that first beat, to really stand out. So the strum pattern, the counting, would be 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3. So I'm doing, what I like to do is strum down on the numbers and up on the ands. So 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3. So one reason I do that is just for the sound of it. strumming down with the soft part of my thumb sounds one way. Strumming up where my thumbnail kind of gets into the, gets in on the fun. See here how it sounds different? Do da, do da, do da. And it gives a little movement to the chord, and I'm not changing anything. It just adds a little extra interest, where it's the same chord for a measure. If I do that, the chord sounds very similar all the way through. So not only the sound, which to me is the most important thing, because music, you're listening, although when you perform you watch also, but music you're listening to, so how it sounds is the most important thing to me. Excuse me. Then the other thing why I like that down on the numbers, up on the ands, is it helps keep the rhythm steady. So my hand, if I just strummed like 1 and 2 and 3 and, then I'm just 1 and 2 and 3 and. So my hand is constantly so my hand is keeping that rhythm very steady. So if you look at it with the strumming that I gave you for the beginning of this, okay, or all the chords in the song actually, down and, so 1 and 2 and 3 and. So when I'm not strumming, my hand still moves on that portion of the beat. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 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 1, 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 2 and 3, 1, 2 and 3, 1, 2 and 3, 1, 2 and 3. See? A couple times I hit the and after the 3, but you get the idea. Okay, so that's the strumming rhythm of it. Okay, so the first line is 7th fret, 5th fret, 3rd fret, and then, and remember, usually fingers for the top 2 strings and thumb for the lower. So 3, 2, 0. Then a G7 chord, and you should know a G7 chord by now. So 5, 3, 2. Then the third, that was the second line. Then the third line is the first line again. And then it starts off, the fourth line starts off the same as the second line. But then, that first note, dun dun dun, that first note is actually out of key, because we're in the key of C. So the C works, the F works, the G works. These notes are all part of the C major scale. So the key of C major, the chords that all relate, the notes, the scale, everything all goes together. That note does not. Okay, but it sounds great. What it creates, although it's a single note all by itself, it creates the illusion of a C7 chord. Okay, which then sets up the F chord. So this is the first time that the F chord has popped up in the song, because it was C, G7, C. Now the F pops up for the first time in the 5th line as I've written it out. So that note now stands out. It's out of key, but it leads beautifully to the F. Okay. Another thing to know is that note would be called chromatic. It would be called a chromatic note. Something that is chromatic means it's all of the notes. So it would be chromatic. The note, sorry, I was trying to think of like the way to phrase it. So we have the C, the B. The next note in the scale would be the A. Okay, this note isn't in key, but it's now on its way to being every note. Because that A would be the F chord. Okay, so chromaticism, chromatic, that's what all this stuff is. So it's a good thing to know, and it's a great way to set up a change in the music. So, you know, everything's going along great. Everything's all in key, everything's perfect. The G7 sounds lovely. So the C. Then all of a sudden we have that kind of odd note. So it sort of makes the listener, you know, take notice. Like, ooh, like what was that? Something's happening. And it goes to the F. Okay, so the 5th line. And then to the C. The 6th line, G7. So it's now right back to what we had set up at the beginning of the song. It now starts to sound like that. So, and then back to that sound of the C7. It's really just a B flat note. F. Okay, and that strum on the 1 beat of, as I've written it out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, line 8, with the pause, so we strum 1, 2, 3. It again signals that something's happening in the song. So we end up with the next part, way up on the 10th fret. Okay, you have to make sure that you press down hard enough so the note comes out clear, so you don't get like that little buzzy sound. Press that nice and hard so it comes out clear. Okay, and now let's talk about the just sort of I guess physics of the ukulele. Sort of the actual, like, some science behind what's going on. Okay, that next chord, okay, that top note, you're really fighting against a lot of things to get that to come out. First off, okay, this string, excuse me, is the highest pitched string. Okay, it's the highest pitched string, and therefore it's also the thinnest string. And you're way up high, so not only is it the thinnest string, when we strum that chord, it's also the shortest string, because the part that's vibrating is only from the 10th fret to the bridge. So it's just that long. Okay? All the other strings are thicker and longer. Okay? So what that means is they're going to come out louder. So this note, you really have to pluck it hard to get it to come out. But then the problem is, if you strum hard, all the other strings come out louder too. So you really have to try to go. You see that last one was too loud. And kind of go and hit that string a little extra. It's tricky, but it's a nice technique to be able to master. That sounded great. I'm not always that successful. But, so sort of strum. This one you can hit a little bit harder, because by the time you get to this note, this one has started to fade away anyway. And it's also a thinner string anyway. Okay, so it's a nice technique to be able to do. Okay, and also I'm doing what sometimes is referred to as a roll strum. Instead of just strumming all of them really fast, I'm just kind of going a little bit slower with the strum, so it's like, but just faster than that. You know, so bang, 2, 3. Okay, then the next part is, or actually, okay, so now that you're playing them individually, it makes it a little bit easier to pluck that string a little harder using your finger. And in this case, I am using my thumb. Usually, you would do that. It's really whatever works for you. Since my thumb is already kind of down there from that strum, I'm comfortable using my thumb for that. Then the next line would just back to the F, G, sorry, not a G7. And then back to, then back to the final line, F, G, C. And that's it. The Alona Waltz. So there, like I said, there's a lot of different little bits here and there, a lot of interesting techniques in this song, the little roll strum kind of thing. And actually, I think I was using it, if I go back and watch, I think I was using it for most of it. Like the one. No, I guess I wasn't. It's right in between just a regular strum, a little bit slower maybe than a regular strum, but not quite the sort of individual notes coming out as like a roll strum kind of thing. But nonetheless, all I was doing was just sort of feeling it out, vibing it out. And that's actually another important thing to think about. And I always stress that, like, music is music, but if you're just reading it off of a page, it's, although you may be playing everything technically correctly, the right notes in the right places, the right chords in the right order, and everything. You really have to kind of feel it to really get it to sound like music. I've heard music described as like emotions sort of given sound. So it's the sound, like what emotions sound like. And I like that. That makes sense to me, because if you're playing something and you feel it when you play it, then maybe other people will feel it too. And that's how you end up with music that you enjoy. There's a reason you like it. Very rarely does somebody look at anything like art or listen to music or anything and think, that is technically very well done, therefore I like it. There's lots of art, lots of paintings that are technically brilliant, and I can appreciate that. It doesn't mean I really enjoy it and it really sort of touches me. A lot of music that's brilliant, it just really doesn't do anything for me on an emotional level. So I think it's important to kind of look at things and play how you feel it should play. Play how you feel it should sound, how you feel you should play it. So if you feel like the waltz, could go. Do it. What I did was 1 and 2 and 3 and I think 2 and 3. No, I think I did 1 and 2 and 3. Then 1, 2 and 3. Yeah. Then went back to the way that I had originally written it, and then for that went dun 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 dun. So I'm alternating some strumming back and forth. But if I play it, it sounds totally fine. Sounds like the song, just a little bit different. As I, just explained, I did the strumming a little differently. But, you get the idea. And I think that's an important thing. So with this song, why don't you try taking it? It's a little longer than some things we've done. And has, like I said, some interesting little techniques. But why don't you take it and try to sort of really feel you think it should sound, and then play it the way you think it should sound. So there we go, the Alona Waltz. Lots of fun.